Welcome back, YouTubers. Today we're going to be learn the Ajax form submission and validation tutorial for CodeIgniter 3. Now if you're still sticking to CodeIgniter 2, I believe it's somehow going to be work, but if you can feel free to shift to CodeIgniter 3 because the version right now is pretty stable to try it on a production server. It doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and dive into our topic. So today we're going to be cover the Ajax form submission. So we will make a form and we will submit the data, and we will be validate the data, and we will also see how we can make some custom validation there, and how we can play with this error messages and the success messages just via the Ajax things. Now I don't know if it's really the best practice in order to achieve this, but I think it's not a problem. If you follow me along, you'll be seeing how it's going to be work. Okay, now let's go ahead and let's see what we got here. Now this is just a fresh installation of CodeIgniter 3. You can see it right here, the version of CodeIgniter. Yeah, and I just created a virtual domain here, mvc.dev. It's not a real domain, and installed a fresh version of CodeIgniter 3. So if you wonder where to get the CodeIgniter 3, go to codeigniter.com/download and grab the 3.x or something like that, because the time I'm now recording this video, this is something like this, but maybe it could be different from your case. Maybe you may be watching this video after maybe 2 or 3 months, then this interface could be entirely changed. I believe you know a lot about that, so I don't want to waste your time. Just want to go ahead and let's dive into that. So first thing first, I want to create a new controller for that. Let's say our controller name is YouTube somehow. There's our controller name. So we got our controller up and running. Okay, but for some reason I want to change this controller name to website, and I'll be telling you why we are renaming this to website instead of YouTube. Okay, let's just do it website.php. There we are. And now what we have to do is to have some base code of the controller, right? Like defined like the base path, so, or not row, or exit, here, something identical to that. And then we're gonna have the class called website, and it will extends the CI controller. Okay, so we got our controller up and running right now, and let's construct the parent CI controller. It's really important, and we cannot skip that, right? Either it's not going to be work. So public function construct, and what we're going to be do here is like parent : construct. So what it does, when we are into the website controller, it will first construct the CI controller, and then it will come to this class, something more identical, more or less. The concept is something like this. So yeah, so now let's go ahead and let's see what we can do here. So this is the default method that we are going to listen for when we type just the controller name, right? So I'm going to say hello from and let's give it a try if it's going to be work or not. index.php / website, and we are on the right path. Okay, so our controller is now working. So now what I want to do is like to load the view and write the form and this sort of stuff there. So here we're gonna be load our view, this load view, and our view name, for example, website form or something like that. I'm gonna keep it simple, just form, something like that. And I'm gonna create this view right now. I mean, inside the view, I'm gonna create a new file called form.php, and within that, I'm right now here. I'm gonna just do something really boiler things, not that much fancy or not that much automation here. So say website form or something like that. Um, let's say what we can do here is like h1 or maybe h3. Please give us a valid website URL. And then within here, what we're going to be do is like um, writing the HTML code here for our form. And let's say here I'm going to be print the form opening function from the form helper. Yeah, and let's go ahead and do that. Echo form open, and this URL going to be remember our controller name is website, and I want to have all this stuff right in this index method. So things going to be like a website, then inside the index method, and you can get rid of all of this. Again, we want to form close that. But if you now come up here, then it will be a fatal error because we didn't load the form helper yet. So let's just load that. I'll go into the configs folder, and from the config I will go into autoload, and I like to autoload the basic helpers and the libraries because it's really helpful. For example, I'm going to be load the form validation library in autoload. So in every page of your website, we have access to that library. It's really helpful. So say form validation, and then inside the helper, we want to have the form helper. I forgot the name. Let me just see that in the CodeIgniter form helper, the name. I can read the CodeIgniter 3.x documentation right up here, and there's an online version for that. And I wanted to have a take a look at the helpers, and then the form helper right here. And oh well, this is just a simple form. So what I can do, I need to simply load the form like so. Yeah. Okay. So again, let me go up here and then type up our input. Type is text, and the name is say website, and we don't need any ID right now. And then yeah, and we also need a input of okay, let's put it into a p tag, so things. And now we need to have another input like for the submit, and the value is going to be submit or say check website, or say okay, so check website. Now let's go into our website and reload the page. There we go. Please give us a valid website URL right here. Check website. It's pretty simple, right? And I always like to add some CSS there. Say the input. It's a wild CSS, but anyways, it looks prettier right now. Anyway, so let's go ahead and put some information here. nothing should be happen. We know it, right? Because we didn't yet set nothing into our controller, so we can listen to that. And right now we are done with our views right now, but before we're gonna leave these views, I will be create here a hidden div, or maybe it has nothing in it, just to show the error. So say JS error, and this is an empty div, it will have nothing in it. We will print the error messages or any kind of success messages through the JavaScript or through the jQuery right into this div. And either this div is an empty div and it has nothing to show to the user. Right, now let's yeah. So now let's set our rules. Okay, so say form rules. Say form rules is equals to array. So we are kind of defining all the rules into an array. I found it really useful when in terms of when you have a lots of fields, I mean input fields, then you most probably want to have the array as there's a form rules, and that's really a time saver. And I will always do the same way, though I have one field or maybe I have 100 fields. Anyway, let's just do it. And now we will be have our informations like the what is the field name, and then so then we will have the what is the label for this field, and then we will need to have the rules, the most important thing for our forms or something like that. So go ahead and let's do that. So remember the field name is a website, and we're going to be put it right up here, and here's the label. A label is website address, and then we have the rule. So first rule could be like it's required, right? It's in the website field is required. And how did you know that the record did what for you? You come to this documentation into the so you go into the documentation and you go into the library. From the libraries you go into the form validation, and right up here, if you take a look at here at the very bottom of this page, maybe a little right here, here's a bunch of rule references and like the required. So what required does, like it is less than, what less than does, and how to use the less than. It's a really cool feature of CodeIgniter 3 form validation. It's still into the CodeIgniter 2, but you know, CodeIgniter 3 make it much more smarter way to play around with this. And yeah, so now let's say if it's required, and also it can be we want to set some another rule like it's a minimum length. So the minimum length is going to be let's say the minimum length is going to be 4 or 5, I don't know, and the maximum length is going to be say the maximum length is going to be maybe 100, so it cannot be more than 100. Or maybe okay, as a website URL, maybe if we don't want to take input from the spammers, then we probably want to have just only for 30 characters. Maybe it's so much too much for a website URL, and let us stick with that as a validation for good people, I mean whatever else. So let's go ahead and what we want to do right now is we have 3 validation rule here. One is required. It will check it will check for the data, and like user have to write something here. Then we will have this minimum length, and we will check the maximum length. It's pretty descriptive. And now we have our basic form rules, and now we need to be kind of like we need to set these rules for our form, right? So let's set this rule above. We're gonna set this form validation, and then we want to do from validation. Okay, this from validation, and then like set rules, and we're gonna pass this variable right here, form rules. So with this line we are just kind of defining this rule into the CodeIgniter tree. So yeah, so we can later work with that. And now let's check, did the user have successfully passed the form validation rules. So we're gonna say if this form validation, if form validation run is equals true, so user have passed successfully, else form validation failed. Alright, so we do understand what's going on here. We first of all write all the rules here for our fields, and then we have set the above rules here, and then we run the rules, and we check if it's true or false. So if it's true, that means user have provided all the valid informations, and our form validation is passed. And either, I mean, if it's false, then the form validation is failed. So yeah, here we go. Now let's go ahead and let's just print the, I mean, echo a success message. Is it success? Either we're going to be echo failed, and let's see what it gives us. So if we put if we type something in there within 5 to 30 characters, then it will print a success message, either it will print failed. So let's go ahead and do that. So right now we are into our so right now we're into our website, and we have a failed by default because. But wait a minute, I think it's really a bad idea to have this failed message in the form. So let's move our validation stuff into another method from our website controller, right? So it would help us to get rid of this default message right here. And we have a specific method who only listen for the Ajax requests. So let's go ahead and do that. So what I want to do, I want to make a entire copy of this method here, and I want to paste at the bottom, and let's say requests, maybe submission. And what submission does, it just prints success or failed. I think it makes much more sense. And on top of our index method, we get rid of all of this validation stuffs here, and we just simply load our view. Okay, so now again, go to our website, reload the page, and see the awesomeness. Okay, let me just put it side by side. Okay, there we go. Alright, so we are now ready to go, and what I wanted to do now is to type some information here. But before we're gonna do that, from our view, remember that we just change our method for to listen our Ajax request. So we need to change our form open address, right? Because it's definitely defined. It's actually defined the form where to post this request back to the server. So we need to be pointed our new method name. So our new method name is submission, right? So just let us change that. We are ready to rock. Now let's go ahead and refresh this page right here, and I don't want to type something here, just let's see if it's really going to work or not. So check website, click on that, and it failed, and it have to be failed. Now type something beautiful here. Yeah, it's success, right? Now let's type something bit less than 5 characters, failed. Or maybe I want to type something really big something. So check website, and it failed because we've defined some validation to check the length of our input data. So really awesome. So now let's go ahead and let's do something really beautiful here. Okay, but instead of showing the failed message, I want to print the error message here. So it would be much more helpful for us to show user or the specific error they did, right? So I'm go ahead and I'm gonna create a new div here, div class, say maybe error or something like that, whatever you used to do with your CSS kind of things. So I'm gonna say div, and then what I wanted to do, printing the error messages. So validation underscore errors, and this is a function that comes from the from validation library. It prints all the error messages. So let's try this out. Well, the website address field is required, and if we see the page source, it's pretty much what we expect, right? So now we need to load the Jquery. So I would prefer the Google CDN to load the latest version of the Jquery. So here we go. Let me just do that. I will do it into my view, but it's not a best practice because you need to do it on a separate template view, something like that, to refactor these things again and again. But let me just do that for the sake of the simplicity of this tutorial, and I'll be just typing all the jQuery or JavaScript code here. And let me just say, type up a very basic test code. Document ready. And then we are passing a function. We're saying alert. Hi. And let's test our code. What we did here. Oh, it's not working. Oh yes, I need to be. So as you see, it's not working. The reason why what we did here is like we write the JavaScript before the before loading the jQuery, so that was the problem. So now we have the jQuery first, and then we have our jQuery code. So this jQuery function is defined to the engine, to the JavaScript engine. This is something similar concept like that. I don't know the exact things, but this is the base idea, something like that. So yeah, let's go ahead and get rid of this code. And now what we need to do, we need to be serialize the data for our controller, and we'll be Ajax post this data into our controller, or like the submission controller, which is actually waiting for any kind of post request. So yeah, so let's just do that. And so first of all, I need to disable the prevent and first of all, yeah, I need to prevent the default action of this form. So I need to detect this form, and that's why I want to create a new class. I want to assign it to a class like array attributes. Oh, I'm sorry, array of class, and then the class name like JS form or something like that. And let's see if it's really going to be work or not. Reload the page, view the page source, and as you can see into the form, and there we go, we have the class of JS form. Okay, so we are ready to go. Now let's prevent the default action. So let's say js.form. We are selecting the form, and then we are on submit. Will be have our function and the reference, and then right here what we wanted to do, we want to prevent defaults. It's a form that prevent default, and that would do something like, if I click on that form, no action will be taken. Let's say it in action. Wow, it's so ugly. Oh, what I just did here, man. Come on, it's not a deal. So it's have to be form and then JS form. Okay, now let's try it out. There we go. As you can see that the default action is now prevented through this jQuery thing. So now we need to serialize the form data, and how we can do that? Yeah, in order to do that, we we have some beautiful jQuery methods to do that. And um, yeah, so let's first of all I need to figure out the post request. So let's say jQuery, do me a post, and the URL. So where we want to post the data. We want to post into the website and then into the submission. Okay, so then what is the data? The data is the form.js form, and then serialize the data. Serialize. I believe I type it right. Serialize. Okay, so serialize the data, and then this is the data that we are going to send to the to our submission method from the website controller. Then we'll be taken function, and we'll be have the state of our form, or the callback data function, data method, data variable, actually something like that. And let's just console log this data callback variable or callback data here. So now let's go ahead, and now as you have console log the data, let's see what happened. Okay, we are having a 404 not found. The reason why we skip the index.php. So inside our the post address, we can either type the index.php here, or we can get rid of this /. But I think it's a good idea to have the exact URL. I mean, not relative path actually. So I'm gonna reload this page. I'm gonna type up the check website, and there we go. Here is our control message. The website address field is required, something like that, and it's beautiful. Now yeah, so now let's print the error messages into our hidden div element that we have already code right up here, the JS error. So let's say what are we going to be do? We are kind of like yeah. So get the div of JS error, and inside the div we are kind of like having all the HTML, and we are just passing this data, callback data, into our div of JS error. Let's reload this page one more time, and there we go. And here is our error message printed on the blank div there. Now if I kind of like if I type a correct correct value into this input field, and if I click on the check website, and it will be print success there. It's that easy to do. Now let's change the success message from our controller right into here. We want to say we're gonna say div of class is equals to success, and then there's a div of say your website is submitted, or whatever related to your form or to your project. Let's try this out. Your website is submitted, right? It's pretty unique that we actually not refreshing our page, but we are doing it dynamically using the Ajax, right? Okay, let's go ahead and continue. So in the meantime, I added some CSS code here to make our form looks a little better, and our success and error messages have some colorized things. So so yeah, so if I now click on the check website, I have a error message. The website address field is required. Now if it's less than 5, then it shows a specific error. Now if it's really big, then it shows that exceeds the 30 characters in length. So it's pretty unique. Now the most important factor is the security, and so we can also add some further security here by adding the CodeIgniter is Ajax requests. And how we can do that, if I into the form validation, or it's actually into the input. So I'm just go ahead and just search it right up here, is Ajax or something like that. So yeah, is Ajax request, and where is that? There we go. So it returns true or false, a boolean value. So is Ajax request. So inside our submission controller, we can make sure that if the request itself is valid or not, that a spammer or a hacker is not trying to brute force or something data. I don't know, I'm not that much well known with this kind of stuff, but let's just add some extra functionality for our security issues, right? So I'm gonna check, like, if not is Ajax request, then we are kind of like print, or maybe in PHP we specifically do echo for the printing any message. Say no valid request found, something like that. Okay, so now I think it's still going to be work, nothing will be break here. Oh man, I do forget to add the input, right? I do forget to add the input input library or input method. So anyway, so I need to be add that in this input, like, is Ajax request, and we're not kind of echoing this, we are kind of exiting this, so we're in a safe form, right? Yeah, now let's try this out and let's see what we can do with this. Again, reload this page and then try it. If it's still working, right? It's still working. And yeah, so now we know that we are in a safer place to serve our form to the public places. And now I think you get the idea, the basic idea of how it's going to be work. And I believe it's going to be, I don't know, maybe let me know how was that tutorial. And I did also another stuff. I did upload today all of the codes of today into my GitHub, and you can just go into this URL here, and it'll be get all my today, all the code. You can find all the code here. Like, here is the controller and here's the view, all the code here. You can just click up here and grab all the and have some idea what I did here from this code. So go into this URL and grab the copy of the controller and the views and integrate it with your CodeIgniter Jquery site to understand what's going on. If you're confused in any in any line of code. But anyway, so yeah, before I go, I want to show you a cool website which is pickinfo.com. Pickinfo.com provides free photos for your project. So if you wonder some good quality photos for your website or for your projects, then you can go to pickinfo.com and you can click on the recent photos, and from the recent photos you can grab the picture you need for your project, and you can feel free to use that. It's all the images here is public licensed image, and if you are a photographer and you want to contribute some photo, you can of course contribute some photo here. You can search for images here, and one of the coolest things is that this website is made by CodeIgniter 3. Okay, so yeah, let's go ahead and rock everything. I am Hassan, today your guide of this tutorial. Thank you for watching this video along with me. It's a long tutorial, but I was supposed to make it within 5 or 10 minutes, but it's almost half an hour right now. Yet I start, and yeah, you can connect with me on Twitter and also on Facebook. Yeah, thank you for watching this video. Let me know how was that. If I'm really missing something, let me apologize for that. Thank you.